Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please allow me to invite to the stage His Excellency Mr. Anies Rashid Baswedan, the Governor of Jakarta.
Excellencies, ambassadors, representatives of friendly countries who are participating in this forum, Senior Urban Development Specialist of the World Bank, Mr. Luis Miguel Trevino will be speaking in the first session. Excellency, the head of the World Bank, the head of the Bank of Indonesia, Jakarta Representative Office, Bapak Oni Wijanarko, representatives from the coordinating ministers of economic affairs, and also from the ministers from the central government who are participating in this forum this morning. All participants, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. It is indeed a pleasure for me to welcome all of you, potential investors, participants, friends of Jakarta, friends of Indonesia, to the Jakarta Investment Forum 2022. This event is held annually, and this year we are holding this event a day after the U20 session completed in Jakarta, to make it as one package about Jakarta, its future, and its engagement to the world. So we are having this event today, and yesterday we completed our first session of the U20, because the second session is now taking place in West Java, and we're grateful with the result yesterday. Last year, the Jakarta Investment Forum, the theme was strengthening the post-pandemic economic through collaborations. We elaborate on three main focuses at the Jakarta Investment Forum 2021. Those are urban health, urban mobility, and urban tourism. But today, this year, we're deciding to have a theme of investing in resilience. And we'd like to bring three thematic discussions by focusing on Jakarta's sustainable food system, waste management through circular economy, and three is public-private partnership for green investment. We decided to use this subject, these topics, and having a conversation on this so that we will be in line with our G20 summit, that is Recover Together, Recover Stronger. And also those are the same topics that we have been discussing at the U20. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, allow me here to share some of Jakarta Challenge. It was mentioned earlier during the brief recorded messages that we are embarking on a journey to make Jakarta a more livable city. And greenhouse gas emissions is one of our key challenges. It was mentioned earlier that Jakarta is the largest megapolitan in the Southern Hemisphere, and we are also an area in which heavily populated, 11 million populations, 35 million with the greater Jakarta. But what's also interesting, we are also the home of motorized vehicles. We have 13 million registered two-wheelers, and we have 3 millions of registered four-wheelers. Although I must say, registered vehicles, some of them have left Jakarta, but they're still registered in Jakarta. So I would say the number is about equivalent, the number of people and the number of motorized vehicles. And that is a challenge. And therefore, Jakarta generates around 40,000 CO2 annually. We need to change. We cannot continue on doing this, and we have set a high standards. Number one, we want to have the greenhouse gas emission reductions by 30% in the year 2030. Today, we are in the year 2022, and we're grateful that we have achieved 26% out of 30% of our target. So we are ahead of that target. 8 more years to go, 4 more percent to go. So we are quite optimistic that by 2025, we would have achieved the target. So we are on the right track on achieving that ambitious target of net zero emissions by 2030. So how do we go about it? What have we done on that aspect? Allow me to share some of the concrete actions that Jakarta has been doing. One, we transform our way of looking at how city operates, how city develop, how people's mobility is being designed. And I will use the word mobility instead of transportations because that's a wider coverage. We're shifting that paradigm. And shifting that paradigm is a tremendous challenge because we have been using the old paradigm for decades. It's like you used to be riding with your right hand, and then now you're learning to ride with your left hand. And that requires tremendous effort to actually change the mindset, change the way we work, change the way we operate, change the way we look at things. And I often tell our friends, we got to think like a stranger, but act like a native. We have to ask questions that had never been raised. We have to look at things from completely different perspective. So often in many of our meetings, my job was not to give directions, but to give questions. And those questions need to be answered. And whenever we put the more why into the conversation, then we will have more answers, more creativity into the conversation. But if the leadership in the room was giving directions, we guarantee all the bureaucracy will be able to deliver completely, 100%, sometimes more, of the directions. But when it comes to questions, then we all have to think in a different way. So the more why, the more how being put into the table, the more change we are seeing. And that's how we approach Jakarta in the past 5 years. So whenever you're seeing all these changes, it is not a single man idea. It is a collective effort, and it is through a very rich discussion, conversations that were overlooked whenever we come to a conclusion that things have changed. We often overlook the process of that. So what has been done include transforming our public bus network, which is explained earlier, designing transit-oriented development areas, and then electrifications of public buses, and then we're talking about revitalizations of cycling infrastructures, which was absent earlier, and then building waste and water treatment facilities, applying energy efficient appliance, and so on. But all of this were done in the past few years, many I can say, but let's look at initial indicators. we have seen quite a positive sign from the public's response. Let me give you one example. That our daily ridership of public transport used to be around 350,000 per day. It was in 2016. By 2020, it reached 1 million per day. That's tripled. And I often mention, if we doubled our fleet, if we triple our fleet, it's simply saying we have the fiscal power and we have the commitment to increase our capacity. But if you triple the ridership, it means the behavior of the public is changing. And that's what we want, and that's what we would like to push even further. 1 million is not the end. Our target is 4 million daily riderships. But we are on that track. This needs to continue. And then expansion as well. The coverage used to be around 42%, now 82% of Jakarta is covered by public transport. And then we're talking about expanding pedestrian path. I mean, you have witnessed Jakarta, we have more sidewalks nowadays, and not only surrounding Jalan Sudirman area, which is the downtown and the central business district, but also elsewhere. In terms of kilometers, around 240 kilometers. In miles, about 160 miles. So, and then bike lines, and then bike sharing blocks, and all of that. And those transformations, we're grateful with ITDP. They have been doing assessment of cities, and they have concluded that Jakarta is a city that have the biggest leap in terms of transportation reform. So we were awarded the 2021 Sustainable Transport Award. In 2020, we were runner-up. In 2021, we're the number one. And then in 2022, we're not supposed to run again. So we got to wait. It's not that our public transport is the best in the world. No, they are measuring the delta, how much change you're making in a particular year. And that delta has shown Jakarta's commitment, not only from the city government, but also the response from the public in line with the transformation. So, and then we don't want to do it two steps in achieving the target of reductions of greenhouse gas emissions by moving people to public transport. We would like to moving the residents to public transport, and the public transport is a green public transport. That's why electrification is key, and we would like to push even further. So we hope by 2030, all buses operating in Jakarta will be electric buses by 2030. In 2025 and on, any new procurement of electric buses by the operators will be electric buses. Why 2025? It's because the preparedness in terms of the supply chain. The demand is here, we're ready, but the supply chain, the productions and all of that will take time. So, and then that's on the reduction of producers of greenhouse emissions. The other side is making sure our city is producing healthy air. And therefore, we are talking about improving our infrastructures for the open and green spaces. So we built no less than 370 parks, 29 urban forests, and planted large trees, not small trees, large trees, at the numbers of 140,000. So all of this being done, on the one hand, we try to sort of push down in terms of production of emissions. On the other hand, we are allowing ourselves to have more quality air being produced in our city. So the commitment is there. And that commitment has been translated as well into the development plan of 2023 to 2026. So that will continue because the governor will not be here forever. The chief of the investment board will not be here forever. We will be seeing rotations. However, we should not rely those changes into individuals. We have to institutionalize change. We're living in the modern world, and institution is key, and therefore we are institutionalizing those changes into the development plan that has been ratified, and that plan will continue on that path, on the transit-oriented development paradigm, and all the derivatives of that paradigm. And therefore, I would like to call for collaborations. This will not be able to be done only by government. The vision is there. We would like to build Jakarta with a more green-oriented, with more sustainable approach, and we would like to invite investors from private sectors, from governmental counterparts, from financial institutions globally to join us. Jakarta is a place there where transaction is massive. We contributed 17% of our economy, the Indonesian economy, and the business activity that is happening in our city is also very vibrant. We all see that. And with those changes, we're hoping that the future of Jakarta will reflect the kind of future city we would like to live for our children and the children of our children. And with that, I'm inviting partners, private sectors, governmentals, international communities to partners with us to work together in the investment on that area. And therefore, on this important event, we will be seeing some of the plans, some of the potential projects, some of the concrete works that have been started and will continue that would be of interest to many of you. And to our friends, ambassadors, representatives, we truly appreciate your participation today and would like to seek your assistance. Maybe any of the institutions within your country that may have relevance, may have interest to our visions, to our potential project, do invite them to come. And we're more than happy to have further conversations on all of this subject. So the objective from this forum is not simply about showing what we have done, but it is also about, and this is more about, what we are engaging, what we are embarking to the future, and the partnership that we would like to build. So the Jakarta Investment Forum should be a gateway for all of us to have the exchanges. And with us here is not only speakers, participants from the bureaucracy, but we have leaders of our state-owned enterprises who are here with us. I often said in government of Jakarta, we have two hands. On the one hand is the bureaucracy, on the other hand is the state-owned enterprises. Both were doing work for us. One is with following bureaucratic procedures, the other one is using commercial approach in order to achieve development agenda. So the agenda is the same, but the way we operate to achieve that is different. For transportations, we're using commercial approach so that we can partner with other institutions. When it comes to some of the work that market cannot function, then we're using the bureaucracy where market fails to address. So on that, I truly appreciate your participation this morning, and on behalf of the Jakarta Capital City Government, I would like to appreciate your participation. Thanks, and I believe the goals that we are aiming is the goals that is beyond just government aspirations. It is for the benefit of all. It is our contributions to the challenge of the humanity, and we hope that you will join our journey on this. Allow me then to officially open this Jakarta Investment Forum Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. The Jakarta Investment Forum 2022 is now officially open. Thank you.
Your Excellency, we would like to ask you to please remain on stage. And to join His Excellency on stage, please allow me to invite Mrs. Sri Haryati, the Assistant to the Provincial Secretary for Economy and Finance. Mr. Oni Wijanarko, the Executive Director of Bank Indonesia DKI Jakarta Representative Office. Mr. Thomas Lembong, the Jakarta Investment Committee. And Mr. Beni Agus Chandra, the Head of Department for Investments and Integrated One-Stop Services. Thank you very much, Ibu. Thank you, Bapak. We'd like to invite you to please come up on stage along with His Excellency, Mr. Anies Rashid Baswedan. And gentlemen, Ibu, later on my count to officially launch the Jakarta Investment Forum, I'd like to invite everyone to please press the logo, the button that we see on the screen of the Jakarta Investment Forum. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here is to great success, to great opportunities, and for future endeavors to be successful, fruitful, and everlasting. Everyone, are we ready? All right. 3, 2, 1.